Okay, so here's something that I've been thinking about, and it's how do you actually create a SaaS that's actually worth something, that's actually valuable to the marketplace. Well, when I think of SaaS, you know, a lot of things come to my mind. There's things like CRM software, there's things like project management software, accounting software, um, what else is there? Staff management software such as HR software. There's things like these are just some examples, right? But I've been thinking, what would actually make a SaaS beneficial? Okay, so let's say you have a accounting software, and let's say your idea is to create an accounting software, and this accounting software has integration with social media. Like, would that really be beneficial? Would that like in order to differentiate? Let's say your differentiator is that we're different from all these other accounting software. What we do is we provide integration with Instagram and TikTok. Sure, that is an extra feature that does make you different, but is that something that people would actually need? Not probably not. If you're doing accounting, you're just trying to figure out your payments, your payroll, your tax, all this stuff. Your superannuation, or superannuation. By the way, is like it's like retirement. I know in America it's probably I think it's called 401k, but it's basically like your retirement fund. But in Australia we call it superannuation. But yeah. Anyways, if people are trying to figure out all these different things, they're using the accounting software strictly for accounting. So what does it matter that it has integration with TikTok? Sure, it's a differentiator, but it's not an important differentiator. I think it's important to understand what's actually important when it comes to differentiating your SaaS, your software, right? So now let's say you have an accounting software, and this accounting software has an integration to a certain proposal software, so they can send an invoice, and at the same time they can send a proposal at the same time as their invoice. Now, I think that in that case, that's actually a differentiator that is actually beneficial. That actually works in combination with the accounting software. So it's basically like the way I think of it is like it's basically like you're adding an upsell or a downsell, right? So it's like, for example, if someone wants to, I guess people go to the barber shop and they get haircuts, right? But an extra thing that people add is they add things like hair wash as well. That's like an upsell, or or people that I guess what's a good example? People that need people to do their house cleaning. They usually have an extra upsell where they actually do their lawn servicing as well. So they do lawn mowing along with their house cleaning, or they add extra things like oven cleaning or window cleaning, or housekeeping. Those will be some extra upsells or downsells, right? So the way I think of it is that the extra features of a SaaS is pretty much like an upsell or a downsell, right? So the core thing is, let's say it's accounting software. The core thing is basically to do accounting, to do payroll, um, pay runs, timesheets, you know expense management, etc. Those will be the core things. But the upsells might be things like proposal, adding a proposal component, adding integration with timesheets, for example, adding just things that would actually work in combination with the thing with the actual service. So it's basically like the way I think of SaaS is it's pretty much just like a service that's kind of compressed, a very compressed service with extra additional services, aka upsells and downsells, right? So generally, if you go to an accountant, they can offer things like tax returns, right? That might be one service. Then they offer something like just business accounting, extra service, and then thirdly, they might offer something like business consulting. That's an extra service. Now, obviously, you don't want to have that many. You don't want to have too many different features and services in your SaaS. I think that would just be very confusing. But it's quite easy to add those on if you have a different plan. But I think as long as you have the core thing, you can either I think there's two options. You can either make the core thing, which is, let's say, accounting software. You can make the core thing better, aka if you have better, I guess, a better invoicing software. I don't know really how you would make invoicing better. Maybe I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but the core thing would be like I guess accounting software, right? So you can either make the core thing better, or you can add extra differentiators to the core thing, aka extra features, things like that. So that's kind of the way I see it. Um, yeah, and in order to really, but I think even if you just create something that's exactly the same as the top SaaS software, like if someone can create something like Zero, the entire Zero software, I'm talking about the entire Zero software, someone can create that and they call it something different, they would still make a ton of money and they would still be filling a large demand in the marketplace because it's still Zero is still worth a lot and they're very successful. So it makes sense even if it's the exact same. Let's say, like, honestly, if you create Zero and you just call it something different like Biro or Diro, whatever, but it's the same thing, you just change the logo, you change the name, and you change the color. Now, obviously, it's not going to have as strong of a brand as Zero, but even if you just have the exact same software, if you have something as a software as good as Zero, and you just change the name, things like that, and it's the exact same, you can still succeed in SaaS. I think, in my opinion, I think so. And you'll still be helping a lot of people with their accounting. So yeah, but obviously that's there's better ways to do things. Like it's probably better that you find ways to improve on the SaaS, like you find ways to differentiate it in a way that's actually valuable to the marketplace. But yeah, my point is that differentiating is not that important in my opinion. As long as you have good software, which people have already created, aka Zero MYOB, you can pretty much just use that, and you can still be very successful in SaaS. That's my opinion, at least.